Set that shit on fire. Doesn't burn teeth. You need to get rid of the teeth. You're welcome. Today's video is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform for building your brand and growing your business. More about them in just a bit. Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Brain Blaze. As always, I'm your host, Simon Wimes here. One of my writers, in this case, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. Writes me a script, Strangest Things Found on Google Street View. I feel like this used to be a bit more wild back in the day, and now it's like, I'll be browsing on Google Street View, and you'll just see an entire house that has been blurred, because apparently you can request that your house be blurred on like Google Street View for privacy reasons, which kind of makes a lot of sense. I think it's nice that they do that. Because I imagine they don't have to, because it's like you could just take a picture of someone's house. It's like, okay, you're standing on public property taking a picture of someone's house. The Barbara Streisand thing sorted that out, right? Where it was like, no one knew that there was that. Look, it doesn't matter. We're not talking about that today. Let's just jump in.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Did I say that already? Double thanks, Kevin. You're welcome. How about there's double thanks instead of payments? Just joking. There was never any payment to begin with.
Pay that man his money.
While they are legitimately useful, people love playing with Google Earth and Google Street View entirely too much. In fact, people love it so much that in 2013, Swedish software engineer Anton Wallen decided to create a game around it called Geoguessr. Some people are absolutely wild at this game. There's like dudes, I don't know, it's like one of those things you just, your YouTube homepage and you refresh and you see what comes up. And some dude like dominated Geoguessr came up one time. And he's just like, oh, these yellow stripes down the middle of the road, white on the outside. And that looks like an Argentinian telephone pole. This seems to be in the south of the country due to the cloud formations. Boom, we're in blah, 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 blah. And he's like 3 miles away. But not just by chance, like every single one he's just nailing. It's crazy.
Had your kids, had your wife.
I mean, honestly, if someone was like geo-guessing me, I wouldn't even be able to guess my own country. The game is exactly what you would expect it to be. Players are taken to a random location. Oh yeah, maybe I should have introduced what this game is first. Just assuming that everyone knows what Geoguessr is. Well done, Simon, you big brain. Thank you, Kevin. Let's carry on. The game is exactly what you'd expect it to be. Players are taken to a random location on Google Street View and need to guess where in the world they are, receiving points based on how close they are. Everything in the image can be a clue, from the color of license plates and road signs to how recently the photo seems to have been taken. While some players are happy to get the right country, others will painstakingly search out the next intersection or stretch of road that they may have been placed into. It's a pretty remarkable thing to watch people play this game at a high level, though I don't expect that it's actually that much fun to play. You don't? We must be wired differently, because I'm like, this sounds like getting good at this game, I can imagine as being very quite satisfying, quite rewarding, to be honest. But Google Street View is more than just fun games and lamenting over the state of your own lawn on the day the Google car happened to drive by. It's also full of creepy staged poses, people doing absolutely bizarre things, and also crimes in progress. Oh, don't get caught on Google Street View, because I know they blur your face, but I bet if there's a Google Street View of you murdering an old woman, they're gonna write to the police are, and be like, can we unblur this guy's face? And Google will be like, hell yeah, brother. Get that shit unblurred.
Oh crap. Am I gonna be upbeat?
We've also got some amazing AI technology. We'll be able to get you his DNA just from his photo, which, given how much technology seems to be progressing at the moment, it sounds absurd, but in 10 years, will we be like, yeah, of course. It's terrifying. Solution to a missing persons case. Street View has actually been used to solve multiple suspected crimes. This is just the most recent one. Sometimes the crimes are straightforward, such as the Google car catching an image of 2 men walking to a house to commit an armed robbery, or of 2 men following a bicyclist mere seconds before they jumped him and stole his bike. I get that, like, robbery and bike theft are like... I mean, armed robbery is obviously a much more serious crime than someone nicking someone's bike. But it does feel like, by using that example, Kevin, it feels like, wait, this is all it's for? I wanted to catch murderers, Kevin. Kidnappers. This kind of shit. Not bike thieves. I remember I got my bike stolen when I was at university. It was lame. It's just parked outside the library with a lock that was not satisfactory. And I just came out later, and I was like, oh, God. It was brand new. My parents had just bought it for me for my birthday. Nice mountain bike I was using to ride around town. And it was gone. It was really sad. And then my parents came up to visit. They were like, where's your bike? Oh yeah, it was because I told them it was stolen. And they're like, good news, we bought you another one. I was like, no, you didn't. And they bought me the exact same bike. It was one of those just legendary moments where I was like, it's my fault. Like, I should have used a proper lock on it and all of this shit. And they just bought me another one. I was like, that's so nice. Thank you. Oh, God. Yeah.
I can't believe this story you're telling me.
These crimes aren't mysterious, and Street View just happened to provide the identities of the culprits. However, the case was a bit more mysterious. On November the 2nd, 2020, 83-year-old Paulette Landreau disappeared from her house in Ardennes, in Belgium. The woman was known to be suffering from Alzheimer's, so the idea that she might just somehow wander away from her home wasn't the craziest thing in the world. The crazy part was that nobody could find her. That is crazy, Kevin. A search party of 50 police officers, some dogs, and even helicopters spent days combing the area, but they were unable to find anything despite the large-scale search and roughly 2 years of investigation. What? She wanted off for 2... I was like, oh, she's going to be found in a river or something, or like... I don't know why I'm sounding so insensitive about this. Obviously sad. Like, Alzheimer's is a devastating disease. But she disappeared for 2 years, and they found her... I'm assuming they found her alive later? Paulette had seemed to vanish without a trace. 2 years later, just before they were going to abandon the case as unsolved, one of the investigators decided to take a look at Google Street View of her home. As it turned out, the car had been driving by moments before the Google Street View car. Okay, I was like, wait, whose car, Kevin? It's the Google Street View car. Moments before Paulette's disappearance, and it caught an image of her walking towards her neighbor's house. Before you jump to the obvious conclusion, there was not any foul play involved. I know it did enter my mind. Wait, did the neighbor murder her? But that's just extremely unlikely. What are the odds of the neighbor being a person who murders old people? It's like billion to one? It's many, many million to ones. The elderly woman was going down a somewhat steep embankment to cut through her neighbour's back garden. The area behind the garden was not only wooded, but completely overgrown. It was so overgrown that even the cadaver dogs couldn't make their way through. Oh no, did she just die in the forest? Kevin, you set me up for a nice thing where it turns out, oh no, she doesn't have Alzheimer's. And she just moved to a beach town somewhere and lived out her life, not knowing who she was or whatever. And then that wouldn't make sense because then she would have Alzheimer's. But I was expecting a happy ending. And she's just going to be rotted away in the woods, Kevin. Why? Why, Kevin? So with today's video sponsor, Squarespace, you can create your own website, and you can do that with their easy-to-use, beautiful templates, and you'll create something absolutely stunning in no time. Look, literally, it took me less than an afternoon to make my website. And I remember making websites back in the day, and it was super complicated. Like back in the day, you had to use like HTML, and then back in the day, you had to use these kind of like clunky platforms, which I won't name any competitors, but you probably know the one I'm talking about, the big one, that's like supposed to be easy to use, but is actually quite tricky. None of that. It's just perfect and easy and the best. They've also got loads of great features. They've got member areas, so you can create a special area for people who are maybe giving you a little bit of extra money, so maybe give them some exclusive content like classes and newsletters, and well, that's a whole new revenue stream for your business, isn't it? Also, they've got email campaigns. With Squarespace, you can collect email subscribers, convert them into loyal customers for whatever your business might be. Plus, you can customize those emails with brands, colors, and logo, and all of that good stuff. Plus, you can connect all your social media accounts to your website, so you can easily push your website content to your favorite social media channels and get people over to your website where you, I don't know, maybe you got a blog, maybe you got a podcast, maybe you've got the newsletter or the member area, whatever. You can do it all with Squarespace. So go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/blaze, use the code BLAZE, and you'll get 10% of your first purchase of a website or a domain. So don't forget, head over to Squarespace, check out all their amazing features, and now back to today's video. Armed with this new information of where she had been headed, another search was conducted, and Paulette's body was discovered just a few hundred meters from her home. An autopsy showed that she hadn't been attacked or anything. She just simply fell and managed to lodge herself in the overgrowth, where her body potentially would have never been found. Oh my god, so she got stuck in a forest and just died of like dehydration or something. That is horrible, Kevin. Jesus, murder on a dock. This one actually comes from Google Earth, but it's basically the same thing as Street View. No, it's not. Google Earth is like, isn't that the satellite one where you're looking down at it from above and they got the 3D buildings? I don't know why these are two separate products. They're both incredible, to be honest. I remember the first time I saw Google Satellite. You know, I was a kid. Or like a teenager. And my dad, who's like into computers, he was like, dude, come check this out. I'm sure he said like son, rather than dude. He was like, come over here. And we looked at, he was like, check this out. And we opened up Google Maps and I was like, yeah, Dad, it's Google Maps. It's impressive. And he's like, no, watch this. And he turns on satellite view. Oh, I'm like, what is going on? Is that live? And he's like, no, it's not live. This isn't the CIA, but it is still extremely cool. And then Street View came along and I was like, holy shit, what world are we living in? But it's basically still the same thing. A bunch of invasive photographs by a $billion corporation that we didn't ask for but can't stop looking at. Oh, come on, Kevin. No one's got... Unless they're looking inside our houses and inside our... I don't know. They're not, though. It's just a photograph of your house from above. It's like, oh, he's got a pool, he's got a trampoline. Okay, who cares? As such, I'm going to treat them as interchangeable. Anyway, in April of 2013, users discovered what appeared to be a murder in the Netherlands. Aerial images of a dock showed what appeared to be a man dragging a body and leaving a trail of blood all along the dock. I remember seeing this back in the day, and it did look mad. I'm sure Sam's put a image of it on the screen right now. Sam edits these videos, by the way, if you're new. You're welcome for that bit of lore. The internet was quickly set ablaze with rumors, as there was no doubt in many people's minds that Google had accidentally uncovered a murder in progress. The trail of dark liquid extends all the way to the end of the dock, and at cursory glance, it certainly looks like a murder, but taking a closer look, combined with the most basic of critical thinking skills, provides us a far less sinister answer. The trail of blood extends along the length of the dock, but it abruptly ends. If someone was dragging a bloodied corpse, surely the dirt path would have been stained with blood. Or maybe they had a car park there and they loaded it into the back of the car to go dispose of the body in the forest or the tar pits or wherever people get rid of bodies these days. The image was also taken in the middle of the day, and zooming out, it shows that it's at least a reasonably popular public park. Would someone really be so careless to dispose of a body in broad daylight in front of a ton of witnesses? Well, the answer to that is probably yes, because there are a lot of really stupid criminals out there. See my Casual Criminalist podcast for examples of that. That's not what was happening in this case. The image is actually of a man and his dog, a dog that has just gone for a swim in the lake before running across the dock, soaking the wood in a trail behind it to make it appear much darker than any remaining dry wood. Oh yeah, sure, Kevin, that's exactly what a murderer would want you to think, Kevin.
Have you learned nothing?
So although the picture wasn't actually anything sinister, it was certainly unsettling to the people who saw it before the murder myth was debunked. Sure, Kevin, debunked. Sure, it was a dog, Kevin. It was a murder. No, it wasn't, we know that. Police had not opted to take any action based on the photo, so an independent forensics team was sent to the dog to investigate it for the presence of blood. Who's paying for that? Who's that? I'm very curious about this. Let's go check this out for blood. Gonna hire a forensics team independently. That sounds very expensive. Shockingly, they didn't find any. An expensive waste of money. Japanese pigeon people. There are a lot of strange pranks that people like to pull on the Google Street View cars and bikes. And bikes? People are biking around? Oh, I have seen inside of shopping centers and stuff, or malls, as you might call them in America, where people have like backpacks on and they've got like a pokey thing out the back or whatever. I didn't realize they're doing it on bikes. People enjoy staging surreal scenes for the cameras to catch, like an alien sitting in a lawn chair or a man in a horse mask sitting at a restaurant table next to a plastic lawn flamingo while eating a banana. How do you know when the Street View cars are coming, though? Because they only come past like once every couple of years or every year or something, right? So what, you just chilling out there the whole day, just waiting?
No, Brian. This is real. I believe I am psychic.
It's not hard to appreciate the amount of effort that goes into something like this, especially since it involves actually caring enough to keep track of when Google will be taking pictures of your area. Oh, okay, so you can track that. Well, it's much less effort than I thought then. Just look it up online and then go do it. Kevin, I don't know, this sounds like a bit of fun. Why are you being so harsh on these people? The horse mask guy sounds like a bit of a legend. But while these are usually solitary endeavors, one group in Japan decided they were going to band together to create something truly bizarre. Along the sidewalk of Tamagawa Josoi, a canal in the Musashino district of western Tokyo, 8 people decided that they were going to prank the Street View cameras by wearing large rubber pigeon masks. I don't know. I like it. It's like funny one. I like the concept. Like I liked it when I was introduced to Horseman and his flamingo, but I understand how this gets tired very quickly. It's like, yeah, it's funny once, and then it's kind of like, okay, cool. I'm over it already. It's like the second example. I'm already over it. It's assumed that they were students at the nearby Musashino Art University because who but art students would have the spare time to bother organizing something like this? True. It was the ongoing joke at, like, you know, I don't know if your university had one of these, where it's like, there's a major or like a degree that everyone makes fun of. By my university, it's like, I studied history of art, are you? History of art, huh? That sounds like it's going to lead to a promising career. And I mean, I don't know why we chose that one, because it's like, yeah, art historians are a thing. Art is something with a long and rich history. But that was the one that everyone was like making fun of. I don't know why. And here I am doing absolutely nothing related to what I study. I might as well study history of art. Probably been quite interesting, to be honest. Maybe I'd have more of an appreciation for art than I do. Art's fine. Like, I do like art. Like some art. Some modern art's just plain bonkers though, isn't it? Like, is it that guy? Who's the guy who just paints is it Rothko who paints the big red squares? And then it's just got like a darker thing underneath that looks like it was done by my 3-year-old? It's like, what's the fuck's up with Rothko? Is it if Rothko's some super talented dude? But then again, I'll look at something like Mondrian, and it's like, I love that. I love those like lines and squares and all of that stuff. It's not that different, but I just feel like I look at one and I'm like, well, one's a bit shit and one's really good. I don't know why. I guess that's why it's art. It's like subjective and all of that. Fascinating tangent, Simon. We all love your uninformed opinion about art. Let's carry on.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
I'm also going to guess that art students are more likely to already own swaths of pigeon mask than the average person, an assumption I'm basing on pretty much nothing. But if you've used Street View before, then you're likely familiar with those little arrows on the screen. The website allows you to move up and down the street or sidewalk and provide a full 360-degree range of viewing. Yes, how long is it though, really? We've had this Street View where you have to click. Like, do you guys remember that old game Myst? Where you'd have to, you'd click and it would like load a new screen, and it was beautiful, but it was like weird that you had to click. It wasn't like a fully rendered 3D environment or whatever. When is Google going to get on that? Because surely you've got enough information to stitch those all together into like a free... They must be working on that. I've been expecting it for like 10 years, like a free-flowing environment. I know it requires a lot of processing power, but you're literally Google. You're the business daddy. Come on. I want to see that, Google. And if no one's working on that, why the f*** not? It's a brilliant idea. Get on it. Can you imagine how cool that's going to be when we can all put on our Oculus glasses or whatever Google's one is and just tour around the world? And also the crazy thing, I'm sorry for this tangent, I just love this technology. The crazy thing, they do that every couple of years or every year. So you can go back all the way to like 2010 or whenever they started doing Street View, and you'll be able to walk in like 50 years, you'll be able to walk through historic, the city or the town or the countryside or wherever in like 2010 in virtual reality, which is going to be amazing. People are like, Simon, why is this so interesting to you? Sam's going to be rolling that nerd meme so much that I'll just be like, oh, but it's awesome, isn't it? Isn't it amazing? Nerd. While most pranksters are happy getting the one picture taken and uploaded to Google, this group wanted to put in that tiny bit of extra effort. Here's what happens if you walk past the pigeon people and then turn around to look behind you. Well done. The fact that the pigeons in the back are leaning forward to look back at the camera makes them appear a bit more menacing. Don't get it. What are the pigeons doing? This is one of those things where it's like my teleprompter doesn't do images and Kevin's trying to explain it to me in text and I'm just like, what's going on? You probably have a much clearer idea watching at home because by this point Sam has done his magic and there's images on the screen and stuff. I'm just sitting here being like, okay. I mean, and you might be like, Simon, why don't you make a modicum of effort and go look it up? And to answer that, I don't really have a good answer, to be honest, because even in this time that we've talked about it, I could have gone up and gone to my computer, and it's not like I'm a lazy person. No, I don't have an answer. I'm really sorry. Let's just carry on. I'm sure that was a hard day's work for these pigeon/human chimeras. That's a bizarre spelling of a word, isn't it? It's like chimeras. Chameleon. And the person driving Google's bike didn't even have the courtesy to toss them some stale bread. Luckily, it appears that these pigeons make enough money to be able to afford their own food. It's impossible to know whether or not these are the same pigeon people wearing different outfits, or if Japan is just lousy with these creatures. I was also unaware before seeing this image that Street View actually had pictures of the interiors of businesses. Yes, it does, Kevin, and it's cool. It's had it for a while. From what I can tell, it looks like the pictures from inside the stores are usually submitted by the stores themselves, so this may just be friends of the restaurant staff posing for the photo. After the previous pigeon people went viral, one of the pigeons in the back is also checking his cell phone while wearing a t-shirt with an image of a necktie on it, the bargain basement version of the tuxedo t-shirt. These things are cringe though, aren't they? It's like, why are you wearing that? You look like, I don't know, a rock star from like 2006. Don't do that.
Don't do it.
So if these are the same pigeons, it gives further credibility to the idea that these are college students. Unfortunately, I suspect this did little to drive business to Shibuya's Tokyo Culture Cafe, given how much effort it required to actually find the name of the restaurant when starting from the interior view. Edmonton Corn Maze. Speaking of businesses uploading their own photos, there are actually organizations where photographers will take pictures for many businesses in an area. Enter one Kyle Geisbrecht, taking a guess, of Edmonton business photos. Let me guess, it's based in Edmonton.
Great job.
I have no idea. Edmonton feels like it's in Canada. Is it in Canada? You know when you sometimes hear a name of a town that you don't know, like, is it just me? Because I've made so many videos, but I'll be like, you get that like inkling. I feel like I know where this is. It's like American cities and states. Like you name a city and I'll be like, that's in this state. And it's like, why do I know that? Because I've read so much stuff that I barely remember. So it's in that kind of barely remembered part of my brain. Does that make sense to anyone else?
Nope.
For years, people have been marveling at aerial images of corn mazes on Google Earth, but none of these mazes were actually able to be navigated using Street View. Carl decided that it was time to change that, and in 2013, he uploaded images of the first corn maze to be fully explorable using Street View. That is kind of cool, to be honest. The Edmonton Corn Maze is a massive 15-acre maze. Fuck me, I've done these corn mazes, and they're large, and it takes a really long time. But 15 acres is mad. An acre is quite a lot of space. Like, I'm just thinking about how big my garden is, and it's not an acre. It's a bloody fraction of an acre. And it's not small. This is huge. While it may be surprising to many people that something like corn could be a popular attraction, it's important to remember that Canada is the second largest country in the world by area, but has fewer than 40 million people. Is it really? Is Canada bigger than America? Because Russia's the biggest, right? I thought Brazil was up there. Hey Siri, can you tell me the top 5 largest countries in the world by land area? Every time I found some web results, just list it, Siri. You're going to get absolutely destroyed by ChatGPT and OpenAI and those guys. They're going to destroy you, Siri. They're going to destroy you like those aliens in War of the Worlds or whatever destroyed everyone's families. And I'll look forward to that, Siri.
Daddy, chill.
I'm sure they're looking for any excuse to see another human being. I tried navigating through the corn maze, and it truly is massive. Unfortunately, Street View is a little clunky, and it definitely felt like I was able to walk in directions I wasn't supposed to be able to, passing directly through the corn stalks. I'll assume most people who decided to try out this experience weren't cheating. After all, it's just a bunch of images on a monitor, so it's not like anybody was in danger of actually getting lost inside. You may be wondering... Some stupid people being like, I can't get up from the computer, I'm lost in the corn maze. You may be wondering why Edmonton Corn Maze would have allowed somebody to upload this to Street View. I know I certainly was. It's good publicity. It's not going to stop someone going to the Edmonton Corn Maze. Like, I now have heard of the Edmonton... It was in Canada! I'm so smart! I just realised! And I'm never going to go to the Edmonton Corn Maze. It's just never going to happen. But now I've heard of it. It's good marketing. Maybe I'll tell someone about the Edmonton Corn Maze and they'll be like, oh wow, I'm going to go there. It's also never going to happen, is it? Sorry, Edmonton. What would be the point of traveling to Edmonton and paying to try out the maze when you can just play through it for free online? I don't know, because there's something to be said about experiencing things in the real world, Kevin? Just me? The answer is pretty simple, because crops have this nasty tendency to die during the winter. Every year the maze is completely redesigned. The maze has only been uploaded to Street View twice, once in 2013 and again in 2017, so the ability to walk through a past year's maze essentially serves as a form of free advertising for their new mazes. Doubly brilliant then. It's pretty clever, and also explains how the maze is able to actually remain popular year after year. I don't think there's any rocket science to why this maze is popular. People come back to the maze because it's new every year, with or without the marketing of the Street View stuff. I think corn mazes are awesome. Resolution to a 22-year-old cold case. William Moult was just a regular 40-year-old man spending the evening with his buddies at a strip club in Florida. Oh, but he was a Florida man, Kevin. There is no regular Florida man. Actually, no, a dude from Florida. It's a good dude. He's not a Florida man, just a good dude. At around 9:30 p.m. on November the 7th, 1997, he called his girlfriend from the club to let her know that he'd be home soon, though he didn't wind up leaving the club until 11 p.m. Yes, dear, no, I'm really sorry. I'm going to be late home. No, there's really good strippers tonight. I'm so sorry. According to witnesses, he didn't seem drunk when he left the club. That was the last time that William would ever be seen alive. When he failed to return home, his girlfriend reported him missing. Police opened an investigation into the disappearance, but there were no leads to be had. He left the club and tried to drive home, and that was it. There was no evidence pointing to him having made another stop or anything that could hint to his possible whereabouts. The case remained open, but with absolutely nothing to go on, the outlook was bleak. Fast forward 22 years to 2019. The manager of the Grand Isles housing development and ex-husband of one of the residents was checking out the area using Google Earth. I'm sure he was just admiring the property he managed and definitely not doing anything creepy like using satellites to spy on his ex in the hope that he might catch her sunbathing in the nude.
What the fuck is this?
Is this what I don't think... I wouldn't do this. Would people do this? Do people care that much? He didn't see his ex-wife, but he did notice something, which he then took a screenshot of and sent to her. The ex-wife then sent the image to their neighbor, Barry Fay, and asked him if it looked like a car to him. He said it did, and he asked where the photo was taken. She replied, "Silly, that's behind your house." It's not quite as unnerving as being told the call is coming from inside your house, but I'm sure that Barry was more than a little perplexed. And just in case Simon or any of our viewers are perplexed, I am indeed, here's the image zoomed in to make the car a bit more obvious. I'm still perplexed because I can't see these bloody images, Kevin, and I know it's my fault. Barry went to the... Oh, okay, so it's in the water. That's what I was thinking. It's like in his pond or some shit like that. Barry went to the water in his backyard and looked, but he couldn't see the car. He called a neighbor that owned a drone with a camera to fly it over the water. Jesus Christ, how large is your pond? And there it was, plain as day, a car submerged in a lake. Oh, it's a lake. Okay, that makes a bit more sense. Behind their house. Even though he believed it was just some random junk car that had been sunk in the lake, he decided to call the police. And that's a pretty good idea, as normally when cars are being junked, they're taken to junkyards to be salvaged for parts or scrap metal, not just dumped in the nearest body of water. Yeah, I would assume that it's a stolen car or something, like a joyride car, and instead of setting it on fire, they're just dumped in a lake or whatever, which is a bad idea. Look, always, if you're doing crime, fire burns everything. Set that shit on fire. It doesn't burn teeth. You need to get rid of the teeth. You're welcome. The car was dredged out of the lake and sitting inside were the skeletal remains of William Malt. Given the state of decomposition of the body, it would take 2 weeks for the medical examiner's office to be able to confirm the identity of the body. While it's impossible to know exactly what happened all those years ago, it's most likely William lost control of his car and drove into the lake. Back then, the housing development wasn't built yet, and there was no guardrail to prevent someone from driving into it. There's no way to know whether or not William was drunk at the time, seeing as blood alcohol tests are only valid within 48 hours of death, and he had no blood left to test anyway. Kevin. We know, dude. Why'd you have to get so dark? I'm going to speculate there's a good chance he was, as this was Florida, so it's not like there was any black eyes for him to spin out on or anything like that. But the craziest part of all this is that his remains were finally found thanks to Google Earth. And it's there. And it's the... But the craziest part of all of this isn't that his remains were finally found thanks to Google Earth, it's that they weren't found sooner. Images of that car in the lake have been plainly visible online since 2007, but it took 12 years for someone's creepy ex-husband to finally notice it. It's just... I don't think they're necessarily creepy. They're just looking at where they used to live. I've done that. You've probably done that. It's not that weird. Thanks for watching. Can we unblur this guy's face? And Google will be like, hell yeah, brother. Get that shit unblurred.
Oh, crap. Am I going to be upbeat? Oh, Wesley.